The movie opens with Millie Calloway pulling up to the Winchester house, hoping to finally land a job. She's desperate and honestly, who could blame her? Nina Winchester needs a housemaid, so Millie shows up to try her luck. Nina sits her down and starts rattling off the chores, cleaning, cooking, and looking after her daughter, Cease. Turns out, this is more of a job interview than Millie expected. Millie's resume is a little, well, embellished. She claims she has a college degree and Nina immediately calls her out for being overqualified. Millie just shrugs and says she likes being a housemaid. You can tell she just wants the work. Nina gives her the tour. The house is spotless, almost intimidatingly so. There's this weird family of dolls posed around the dining room table that Millie can't help but notice. Then Nina takes her up to the attic and shows her the maid's room. It's cramped and dingy. Millie looks like she's trying not to grimace. Nina tells her she'll decide soon, hands Millie $20 for her time and gas, and that's it. Millie walks out convinced she blew it. She's so broke, she ends up sleeping in her car. Next morning, the police knock on her window. She tries to play it cool, says she's on her way to her mom's place and just stopped for a bit. While she's talking to the cops, her phone rings. She tells them it's her mom calling. It's not. The police let her off with a warning. Turns out it's Nina. She's offering Millie the job. So Millie heads back to the Winchester house. This time, the place is a mess. Nina acts like nothing's weird, just mentions this public speech she needs help writing. She also notices Millie isn't wearing glasses like she did during the interview. Andrew Winchester and Cease show up. Nina introduces everyone and Andrew seems friendly enough. Millie moves into the attic room. The window's stuck shut and worse, the door only locks from the outside. Not exactly cozy. Nina brings her dinner and even hands her a cell phone loaded with a credit card in case she needs to buy anything. Millie asks about the door and window. Nina promises she'll fix it. The next morning, Millie wakes up late, throws on some pants and tries to leave her room, but the door's locked. After a few moments, it opens. Downstairs, chaos. Nina's yelling, breaking stuff, and accusing Millie of throwing out her PTA notes. Andrew hugs Nina, trying to calm her, while Nina blames Millie for ruining her day. Millie starts cleaning up the mess. Andrew tells her not to worry about it. Later, Millie takes out the trash. Outside, a guy named Enzo stops her and asks what she's doing there. She says she works there, then asks him the same thing. He looks like he's about to answer, but when he notices Nina spying from the window, he bolts. Millie glances up. Now there's nobody there. Back inside, Millie cleans the bathroom and finds a pill in the toilet. She tries to open the cabinet behind the mirror, but Nina appears out of nowhere, trying to intimidate her. Later, while Millie's making dinner, Andrew chats with her. She serves food to Cease, who hands Millie her glass and demands a clean one for her juice. Andrew seems to want to be friends. At one point, Millie checks out Andrew's social media, and then suddenly he's there with a cake, kissing her. She snaps out of it. It was just a daydream. While Millie's cooking, Nina pops up behind her, warns her to stay safe in the house, and finally gives her the key to her door. Then she criticizes the food just to keep Millie on edge. Millie gets ready to go out. Nina asks where she's going and reminds her it's Saturday. The maid's supposed to have the day off. But then Nina says she can't spare her today because Millie supposedly made her miss her hair appointment by losing those notes. Millie insists she has a meeting and asks for a few hours off. Andrew steps in and tells Nina to let her go. He's taking Cease out anyway. Eventually, Nina gives in. Millie heads to her probation office. The officer asks why she left her previous job and Millie lies, saying she got a better offer. She gives her new address and phone number. The officer isn't buying it and warns her, one wrong move and she'll have to finish her 5-year sentence. Right then, Millie gets a call from Nina, who tells her to pick up Cease from ballet class, then hangs up without saying where the class is. Millie scrambles, looks up the location and dashes over because of course Nina told her not to be late. She runs into a woman named Patris at the studio who calls Nina to double check what's going on. Just then, Cease announces she's going to spend the day at her friend Emma's house, leaving Millie totally confused. Cease is coming with her, Patris says. Meanwhile, Andrew's mom unpacks some antique Chinese dishes she brought along, real family treasures. Nina pulls Millie aside and confesses she told Cease it's just a sleepover, nothing dramatic. No need to make a scene, she whispers. But Andrew's mom isn't happy with what Millie's wearing. Evelyn, standing nearby, points out those dishes actually belong to her mother, not Andrew. She asks Millie to stash them somewhere safe, just in case Nina gets upset and tries to break them. Andrew shows up and hugs his mom. Later that night, Millie can't sleep, so she wanders downstairs, grabs a snack and plops down in front of the TV. Andrew joins her. He opens up, telling Millie that Nina's parents died in a house fire when she was little. The worst part, nobody really knows how it started. Just then Nina walks in. Things get tense. Andrew tries to explain and slips away, leaving Nina lost in thought. Millie gets up to leave, but Nina stops her. This isn't working. You'll need to pack your things and go, Nina says, asking for her phone back. Millie begs for another chance. After a pause, Nina sighs and gives her one more week but warns her to stay away from Andrew. Next day, Millie is in the kitchen making food while Nina chats with her friends. Suddenly, Nina announces they're getting a nanny. The others immediately assume she's pregnant and start clapping and congratulating her. Nina just grins and says, "Not yet." Millie's listening. Her phone rings. She tells everyone it's the pediatrician and leaves. The three friends gossip about Nina's possible pregnancy, Andrew being so charming, and the fact that Nina once spent 9 months in a mental hospital. Millie sits on her bed scribbling in her journal. Nina pops in and says, "Hey, today wasn't a total disaster." She tells Millie she has to watch Cease on Saturday even though it's Millie's day off because she and Andrew have an appointment in the city. Millie just nods. Millie and Cease head out together. While Cease waits, Millie sneaks into the bathroom to check the medicine cabinet. She finds Pyridol, meds usually prescribed for certain mental health issues. Later, Millie calls her friend Lexi asking for help finding a new job. Cease overhears and asks, "Are you leaving?" Millie quickly covers, "No, I'm not." Back at home, Millie notices a troll doll in Cease's room and asks if she's been in there. Nina walks in, scans the room, then leaves. Andrew shows up after and tells Cease to go play in her bedroom. He sits down with Millie and admits he wants lots of kids. He loves Cease, but she's not his biological daughter. One night, Millie wakes up to Nina screaming. It sounds like a fight between Andrew and Nina. Millie rushes over and knocks on their door. She's got a knife in her hand, stained with blood. She asks Andrew if he's okay. Nina just laughs and says, "Did you hear that PDA woman say I'm crazy? That I don't deserve my husband?" Andrew takes the knife from Millie and closes the door. Next morning, Nina comes down while Millie's working. She apologizes for lying about the baby and hands Millie some clothes. Nina then asks her to book tickets for a musical called Showdown and reserve a hotel for the night. While waiting for Cease at ballet, Millie meets a woman named Susan. Susan asks if she's with the Winchester family. When Millie says yes, Susan shares a story. Nina once tried to drown Cease in the bathtub and had taken pills. Andrew called the police and saved Cease. After ballet, Millie and Cease come home. Enzo is working nearby. Millie asks him what he knows about the family. Enzo looks worried and says, "You shouldn't be here." Nina interrupts, telling Millie to leave Enzo alone. Nina comes in holding the tickets Millie booked. "Who told you to do this?" she asks. Millie reminds her it was her idea. Nina gets angry. She's supposed to be in Washington with Cease for art camp on that day. The tickets are non-refundable and she says the cost will come out of Millie's salary. Andrew hears about it and tells Nina to call the credit card company, but Nina won't budge and storms off. Andrew quietly reassures Millie she doesn't have to pay. On Saturday, Nina and Cease leave. Andrew, avoiding Nina, tells Millie he couldn't get the ticket refunded. Millie suggests he take someone else, but Andrew shrugs and says he doesn't have anyone. Then he asks Millie to come with him. She agrees. They get ready, head out for the day, watch a movie, and have dinner together. Andrew inherited his father's data processing company and he's pretty open about wanting a family of his own someday. One night he asks Millie to dance and things get close enough that they end up booking 2 rooms at a hotel. But Millie's night gets interrupted by a flood of messages from Nina. She goes straight to Andrew, shows him the messages, and he promises to handle it. Millie's worried. She's convinced Nina is out to ruin her life. Andrew swears he won't let her lose her job. Then he kisses her and they spend the night together. Afterward they head home and Millie starts making lunch. Nina returns nosy as ever, asking about their night. She throws in a dig about Millie learning to cook in prison, then drops the bomb: Millie spent 10 years in jail. Nina claims she's happy to be part of Millie's journey, but it's pretty clear she's just twisting the knife. She hands Millie a shopping catalog and her car keys, telling her to go buy some things. While Millie's out shopping, she runs into Julian, who notices her phone. He seems pleased that Millie trusts him, but Millie's not sure what he means. Just as she's about to head home, the police show up and arrest her for driving a stolen car. Andrew rushes to the station, sorts things out, and brings Millie home. Back at the house, Andrew calls Nina downstairs. Nina storms in, accusing Andrew of sleeping with Millie while she was gone. She blames Millie for taking her clothes, but Millie reminds her that Nina gave them to her. Andrew steps in, tells Nina it's time to leave. He won't let her ruin Millie's life. Nina slaps Millie, storms out to the gate, and breaks down in tears. Andrew tells Millie to stay inside the house for now. The next morning, Millie is up early making breakfast. As she carries dishes, she spots Enzo peering through the window. She tells Andrew, who goes straight to Enzo and fires him on the spot. Later, Andrew's mother's precious Chinese porcelain dishes end up shattered. Andrew tells Millie she doesn't have to do the housework anymore and not to throw away the broken pieces. Millie gathers them up, walking through the house laughing. For once, she feels free, safe. She glances at the toy family again. the father and child at the table, the mother alone in a hospital bed. Andrew comes home and notices Millie has collected the broken plate pieces but not cleaned them up. They head up to the attic, then things get strange. Millie wakes up and everything in the room is gone, the door's locked. Andrew is on the other side, she asks him to open it but he just walks away. Millie thinks maybe it's a game. Earlier, when Andrew told Nina to leave, she paused at the gate, screamed, then started laughing and finally left. Nina spent her newfound freedom dancing, drinking, and blaring music. Nina's past isn't pretty. Her parents died in a house fire when she was 8, so she bounced around foster homes, dealing with all sorts of messes. She fell for a married professor, had his baby, but he never cared about her or the child. She dropped out of college, became a secretary, and got yelled at by her boss for showing up to a meeting with breast milk on her dress. Andrew was there. He noticed her, talked to her, and maybe because he was rich and handsome, Nina fell fast. Andrew proposed, they got married. One day, Andrew walks in while Nina's cooking and suddenly fixates on her hair. He tells her to go to a salon, get it fixed. That night after Nina comes home, Andrew tells her he can't find some notes from a meeting and orders her to look in the attic. She goes up, but there's nothing there. Andrew closes the door behind her and says he's disappointed. He tells her hair is a privilege she should take care of, and it's embarrassing for him to have a wife showing her roots. Nina promises to fix it. Andrew slides an envelope under the door and demands she pluck 100 hairs from her scalp, roots and all. Nina begs him to open the door, but he doesn't. There's only a water bottle to drink. Eventually, she starts pulling out her hair, puts it in the envelope, and slides it back. Andrew checks, finds one hair without a root, and sends it back. She has to do it again. This time, she gets it right. Andrew finally opens the door. Nina stumbles out, desperate to find Cease. When she does, she collapses. Andrew drugged her water. She wakes up, searches for Cease, and finds her in the bathtub. Out of nowhere, the police show up and arrest Nina. The police think Nina's on drugs and tried to drown her baby. No one really buys her story, not the psychiatrists, not the cops, not even the doctors, so she gets locked up in a psychiatric hospital for 9 months. Meanwhile, everyone's whispering about Andrew, calling him the handsome, unfortunate husband stuck with a crazy wife. Nina, in their eyes, is just this dangerous, unstable mother. Andrew wants kids. He pushes Nina for a baby, but she won't let herself get pregnant. Instead, she blackmailed the doctor and gets him to say she can't have children. The rules are simple. If Nina steps out of line, she's right back in the psych ward. Enzo steps in, hopping to help Nina. He even forges fake passports so they can run, but Andrew finds them and Nina's dragged back to the hospital. If Nina tries to escape, Andrew's right there, chasing her down, hauling her back. People start treating Andrew like some sort of hero. Nina can't give up though, not with her daughter on the line. Enzo meets up with her again. He tells her to run away with Cease and promises he'll handle Andrew. Nina shakes her head. Andrew will never let her go, but this time she's got a real plan. She's searching for someone Andrew won't be able to resist. That's when she finds Millie. Blonde, striking, with a past, she went to jail for murder. Exactly the type Nina's looking for. Millie's desperate to escape her own trap after being locked up in the attic by Andrew, but then Andrew shows up, cryptic as ever. Now the dish is broken into 21 pieces, he says, handing Millie a shard and ordering her to carve 21 deep lines into her belly. Millie freaks out, pounding on the door. Her mind flashes back to high school, her roommate sneaking a boy into their room, the two of them tangled up together. Millie snapped, thinking her friend was being assaulted, so she grabbed a glass and cracked the guy over the head. The boy died. He was rich and Millie's roommate lied about everything. Millie took the fall, 15 years in prison, out on parole after 10. She even lost her previous job after she saw her boss, Charlie, groping a young girl. Back in the dark, Millie finds the small knife Nina left for her. She starts carving the lines. Andrew bursts in, tries to calm her, tells her he wants to live with her, but there's always a price. He stares at the wounds. In a flash, Millie stabs him in the neck, snatches her phone, and when he lunges at her, she manages to lock him in the room. That's when she notices the camera. Everything's been recorded. Millie heads downstairs, munching on leftovers. Andrew's mother leaves a message asking if he served the divorce papers. Millie grabs all the antique Chinese dishes, marches back to Andrew and hands him a pair of pliers. She wants him to pull out his own teeth. She's determined to destroy that infamous smile that seduces women. Andrew refuses at first, but Millie isn't bluffing. She starts smashing the dishes, pours gasoline under the door, and threatens to set the place on fire. Eventually, Andrew cracks. He yanks out a tooth. Millie takes a break, watches a movie, keeps one eye on the camera. Nina finally shows up at the Winchester house. She's convinced Millie's still in the attic. As she opens the door, Millie jolts awake. Andrew's gone from the camera feed. Millie races upstairs. Nina's just opening the attic. Millie warns her to stop, but it's too late. Andrew leaps out, hits Nina. Millie fights back. Andrew chases her, but she manages to knock him down and escape. Andrew's not giving up. He hears something upstairs and finds Nina. He tries to sweet-talk her, coax her back, but she calls him out, calls him a liar. Millie sneaks up behind and shoves him. Andrew falls, it's over, he's dead. Nina tells Millie to run, to disappear for good. Millie leaves Andrew's tooth next to his body. The police arrive, question Nina. One officer looks at her closely, she knows something about Andrew. Turns out Andrew was once engaged to the officer's sister, Kathleen. 8 years back, Kathleen showed up at her sister's house in the middle of the night, a shell of herself after Andrew's psychotic games. The officer decides to call it a strange household accident and leaves it